Their phones on silent, please. Got a bit of a different night tonight. We have Mike come speak up to how to get from zero to the money. He's been in this business for over 20 years now, and he has some very exciting things to share with us tonight. Welcome to the stage. Awesome.
That makes me feel better. Miguel's more nervous than I am, so that's great job, mate. Welcome, everybody. How you going? Good on you. As Mick said, it's a little bit of a different night tonight. Rather than go through an information session, what we're going to do tonight is try and balance the pen up there, and it ain't going to work. So what we're going to do tonight is just run through a bit how you get from zero to the money. And a serious question, who'd be interested in some more time or more money than they've got at the moment? Yep, because that's what it's all about, you know. I mean, I'm fascinated with this whole industry after 25 years or 26 years of being involved, and I guess I'm no different than anybody else. When I first saw it, I was looking for the catch, I was looking for the things wrong, I was thinking, man, you know, there's got to be, you know, why would someone just offer me this for no reason? And so I had all those doubts in my mind. But what I actually also knew was that I was at that point in my life where the wheels had fallen off a bit, that if I didn't change anything, nothing was going to change. I was mid-30s. I'd been working for 20 years as hard as I could. I was working 80, 90 hours a week, and Jackie, do you want to go and grab some more chairs from down there for me? So, I was working as hard as I could and yet not having the lifestyle that I was hoping to have, you know. Because, you know, when you're young, like 16, 17, 18, the deal is like, oh, mate, I'm going to have a great life and it'll all be easy and, you know, I'll be rich and traveling the world. And then you get to mid-30s and it's like head down, bum up, and you don't sort of, it's like running on a treadmill. Where you going? Just running, mate. How's it going? Yeah, just running. Just running. Yep. So what are you going to do from here? Just keep running, mate. And so I was at that point in my life. What I saw in this room was actually an opportunity to bust out of the cycle. But consequently, it requires a bit of different thinking. So how the business works, just a real broad brush so that those people who are new get an idea of what we're doing. How the business works is it's a bit like eBay and Facebook put together. That eBay is just a website, one bunch of people put stuff on there to sell and another come on there to buy. Facebook is just a website and we build online communities around it. So we all get online and connect and build these communities, and then we've got that community there. The challenge is, who's bought something on eBay? Yep, most of us. Who's on Facebook or social media? All of us. So the challenge is none of us make any money out of that. eBay and Facebook make money. So what we've got is a website backed up by a company called Amway. Now, Amway have been around for 60 years in 2019. They've been in Australia for about 50 years, and they turned over $12 billion around the world last year. Who'd agree that that's a fair-sized business, $12 billion turnover? What I worked out was that $12 billion turnover over 60 years, privately owned company, not shareholder-driven, what that meant was that they probably had that bit under control. You know, I'm like, any of you got a $12 billion corporation that you run? No? Okay, me neither. So I'm like, okay, so they must have some sort of an idea of what they're doing. The question is, can I do my bit? So Amway have got the website, they put all the infrastructure together, they put all the deliveries, they source the products, they do all of that stuff. What my job is building a community of people and steering them at that website, and I get paid profit share based on the turnover that I produce. Does that make sense? So it's really that simple. People are like, well, what's the catch? Exactly. How are Facebook and eBay doing? The catch is most people are like, but that's not what they taught me at school. Who went, oh, some of you did go to school and learn about the internet. I didn't. Like, there was no such thing. Do you know my mum used to ride a horse to school? That's how old I am. But you think about her life. She's gone from riding a horse to school to now she emails me and says, you know, how do I get my emails on my phone? Like that is an unbelievable lifespan. But she didn't learn about the internet at school. A bunch of us in here didn't learn about the internet. And it was only the year 2000 that the Amway website launched. So we were actually doing what we're doing now before the internet. What eBay and Facebook have done is made it really easy for us to explain it. So who wants to know the trick to this business? The secret, like the duck's guts, like, so how do you really make this work? Who'd be keen to know? Okay. Without a shadow of a doubt, there's $12 billion over here, which is Amway, and there's you over here. Now, for you to access some of that, the whole thing is working out why, working out your reason, your dream, your purpose, I guess the best way to say it is when you wake up in the morning and the alarm goes off. Who wakes up to an alarm? Now, when it's that time, so like you're a carpenter, your alarm goes off earlier than mine's ever gone off, I guarantee it. But when your alarm goes off in the morning and it's before you actually want to wake up, the question is, do you wake up going, yes? Or do you wake up going, no? That's it. Because if you wake up going, yes, I get to go and actually live my dream. Has anyone heard that when you've asked someone how you going? And they say, living the dream, baby. Have you ever noticed that they always say it sarcastically? I'm yet to meet the person who's actually living their dream, who says, yeah, mate, living the dream, because that doesn't happen that often. That's what this is about, working out what you want to do, about what actually gets your back tingling. The reason we were actually pretty successful pretty quickly in this business is not because I'm sharper than anyone else. It's not because I knew more. I didn't get the secret booklet as I came in the door. The reason that we went out and went amongst it is because I was really sure about what that was. Ange and I have got 5 boys. I know, blessed life. I reckon I must have done something right in my past life. It's awesome. 5 boys. It's like the only challenge is you've got to keep your fridge full. And for one stage we had 4 of them in teenage years, and you'd walk in, it's like the fridge was growing bums. So just bums sticking out the fridge. That's how. I reckon that's Michael. G'day, buddy. How are you? Hey, you get a grunt. But as much as they eat you out of house and home, that was actually my dream, was to be a dad, was to actually spend time with my boys. I remember when I was about 16, I played a high-level basketball game, and everybody's mum and dad was there. There was hundreds of people to watch. It was a state game against Tasmania, and I was really excited that I got picked in the team and all that stuff. And everybody's folks were there, and mum was there, but dad wasn't, because dad was working. And I remember that day thinking, when I'm in this position and one of my kids is playing something that's important to them, I'm going to be there to watch. Who reckons that would be a good plan, to be there when that sort of stuff happens? When I got to 36, I realised I'd turned into my dad, because all I did was work. And that, I'm not having a go at my dad. Dad did what he did to provide for his family and all that stuff. But when I saw this business, they said, what would your 10 out of 10 life be? And my answer was, I would actually be a dad. I'd actually cross the diary out in the school holidays and go and dog the footy. I'd go and I'd just be able to muck around with the kids, take them down the river, take them down the beach, instead of me ringing them saying, how was the beach? Because that's how it was. So this was something that I was willing to fight for. And that's the secret in this business, is finding something deep inside you that you're willing to fight for. And that's it. Because if it's willing to fight for, you'll fight for it. Because who reckons that going from zero to, say, $1 million income, who reckons that in that process there'll be some challenges? Anybody? Yep. Who reckons, no, that'll be a walk in the park? Hey, that's the point. The definition of success is dream, struggle, victory. Who's seen the Rocky movies? Anybody? Who hasn't? Who's never seen a Rocky movie? What's wrong with you people? You're going to go and get one. They're surely on Netflix or Stan or whatever you're on. Go and search them. They're awesome. But it's all about the dream, the struggle and the victory. I mean, there's one scene where Rocky's trying to, like he's getting up at, beating you, 4:30 in the morning in the cold, grotty Philadelphia weather. He goes out to his kitchen and fills a glass full of raw eggs and drinks it. Like, just, who reckons that's a struggle? I'm like, man, I don't know if I could do that. Spewing isn't the best way to get fit. But he then puts on this hoodie and he goes out and he runs. And he's trying to get fit, trying to get his lung capacity up, and he's running. And in Philadelphia, there's this bunch of steps that he's got to run up. So he tries to get up there and can't make it. And this goes on and on and on, day after day. And he starts out there in the cold, miserable mornings all on his own. And as the movie progresses, he's got a following of people because they're reporting on this Rocky Balboa who's going to fight the champ. And he makes it up the steps. And the whole thing is about his dream is to fight the champ. The struggle is going through the process, and the victory is when he gets to the top. And you've probably seen that where it's dun, 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 and he's up the top and he's prancing around because he's battled his way up. What most people are looking for in that sort of process of going from zero to $1 million income is, where's the escalator? That I can just catch the escalator up. But that's not what happens. What happens is there's a struggle. And what keeps you going through the struggle is the strength of your dream, is the reason behind it, is why you're sitting in this room tonight. So as much as that, like, you know, is it even legal to, in a closed room, for blokes to be talking about dreams? Even though it's not the norm, the fact is that in our society, 99% of people end up dead or broke or just able to get by. And 1% of our population in the Western world, 1% end up wealthy with choice about whatever they want to do. The difference between the 99 and the 1 is just that word. It's the dream. And if you talk to 1%ers, really successful people, they'll talk to you about the dream, the struggle and the victory. That's the process. But people are like, yeah, don't worry about that stuff, mate. Tell me how to do it. You know, the other thing is that the 1% know why and the 99% know how. And the 99% tend to work for the 1%. So the why is what it's all about. And so, the secret of this business, without a shadow of a doubt, is us being brave enough to get out of our own way a bit. You know? And so it's a bit of a shock and like, seriously, that can't be that important. I'm self-motivated. That's not actually the way it works. It's when it's, when everything seems to be coming at you. And that's what happens on the way to victory. That everything will seem to be coming at you that's trying to divert you off course. And it's those moments that you need to have that so that you remember why you're doing it. Because if you don't remember why you're doing it, it's a lot easier to go over to that escalator over there that leads to nowhere. So the stairs lead to the dream and the escalator leads to back where you started, So the biggest thing about this business for everybody is working out why. And once you've worked that out, and it's not just about, I was actually talking to a young lad the other day and I said, so where do you want to be in 10 years? And he's like, well, I want to be here. And I said, well, mate, this probably isn't for you. And he's like, why not? I said, because you can achieve that doing what you're doing. You know, in 10 years' time, if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll probably get there. You need to have something that is so out there that, like for me, it was freedom. It was about getting my time back. I was mid-30s. And you think about this. I saw this when I was 36. When I was 37, I retired from my day job with a passive, ongoing six-figure income. Now, you think about that at 37, who do you know outside of this industry who's been able to do that? Because I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody who had an ongoing six-figure income that was going to just keep on coming in, whether they got out of bed or not. And yet, I knew a lot of people who were making a lot of money, but the deal was they were trading their hours for the money. So they had to put the hours in to get the money, and if they didn't put the hours in, what happened to the money? Didn't come. So to create a passive income, a residual income, is just an unbelievable thing. What I saw when I came into this room was some people who'd done that. And my view on life is, well, if they can do it, I can do it. You know, all I got to do is learn how they did it. And I'm like, okay, let's get busy here. I didn't care how's it work. I don't care how it works. $12 billion they turned over last year. They're honourable and honest and ethical. My sister had been involved in Amway for a long time, but she'd been doing it by going out selling products instead of building a community. The challenge with that was it was just a different form of active income in my view. Whereas I wanted to build a passive ongoing income, and the way you do that is, as I said at the start, like eBay, we build a community and steer people at that website, and we get paid profit share based on turnover. So if I'm the only person in my community, it's going to take me a long time to buy enough toothpaste to be able to pay a residual income that's going to keep me supported and my 5 kids, wouldn't you say? So I need to find some other people and duplicate myself so that there's more than just me. My view on these rooms was if I came in to this room on my own, that was one lot of information going into my business, and that's a really good thing. But if I brought one more person with me, I'd just doubled the amount of information going into my business. And if I brought 10 more people with me, that's 11 lots of that information going into my business by me coming to this meeting and promoting it to other people. So who reckons that would be working smart rather than working hard? And that's the point, because nobody had taught me how to work smart ever. What they've taught me is how to work. Well done, Paul. What they've taught me is how to be like a 99%er, how to be like everybody else and just keep doing what everybody else was doing. The challenge with it was, and here's a great question that they asked me, if you want to know where you're going to be in 5 years, have a look at someone who's doing what you're doing 5 years longer and see if they've got the lifestyle that you want. Now, I actually did that in the real estate industry, and I was horrified to see that the people who were 5 years or 10 years or 15 years longer than me in the industry were living exactly the same life. We were living in the same sort of house, driving the same sort of car, kids going to the same sort of school. We all had a mortgage. There was one specific guy who was one of the top salespeople in the state, and we genuinely had kids in the same school. We were only about 3 or 4 streets away. We drove the same sort of car. And the difference between him and me was that he had just sold his shack at Middleton, his holiday home, because he couldn't afford the repayments. I'm like, beautiful. So I work another 5 years so that I can start selling off my assets. That sounds awesome. So it wasn't very attractive. And then I looked at people in this, and I tell you the first thing I noticed about the people in this, they were smiling. They actually seemed happy with life. Who's noticed that a lot of people at work aren't that chipper? Seem to be a little bit grumpy and, how you going? Yeah, same stuff, different day. Or words to that effect. That's one of my unfavourite comments. I'm like, but isn't that just an example of, yeah, mate, on the treadmill. Where are you going? Just running, baby. Just running. Where are you going? Just running. That's all I'm doing. So it's the same stuff, day after day after day. And then I saw in this room, people were actually genuinely excited. They're filled with hope. They're chasing their dreams. They're out there and after it. So I'm going to put it up there again. That is actually the key to this business, is the dream. And then there's a pattern and a system. And the pattern is helping people understand that there's a process to building this community. And that's make the list, make the call or the contact, show the plan to people and follow them up. And on this side, we have a system of audios or podcasts or whatever you like to call it, of books, of functions or events, and of coaching and mentoring. And what that's all about is this is what we do, this is what we learn, and the combination of them both will get us up to that point. But we've got to do and we've got to learn if we want to be successful. Because I was talking to young Kyle before, he's a carpenter. He went to TAFE, to trade school, all that stuff. Would it be fair to say that they taught you some do stuff, how to do it? Yeah, that's what it is. So the learning process is over here, but they actually teach you what to do. And what you see on site is that guys are actually quite by rote. They know what to do, they know which tools, they don't have to say, so what tool would I need for that? And it's no different from any of us in our job. Who remembers their first day on their job? How much did you know? Not much. We walk in there feeling like an absolute goose, don't we? I hope I'm wearing the right thing and blah, blah, we got no idea. And then we see something like this that can actually get you to your dreams, and people say, I like to know how things work. None of us are like that when we go into a job interview. So tell me about your job, because that's where I want to get. That's not what we do, is it? We don't even ask them, what's the work entail? We're like, can I work here? That'd be awesome. And then we go and learn. And that's what this stuff does. This is a form of learning, but this is a form of learning too. Who ever learnt how to ride a push bike? Yep. Who remembers how they learned? Did you have someone hanging onto the seat to make sure you didn't fall off? That's how most of us learn. A parent or a friend or a caregiver or someone. And it is the dream. And it's like, I get my wheels, I'll be free. I'll be able to get away faster than mum can chase me. It's awesome. So we're willing to put ourselves out of our comfort zone so that we can achieve what we want to achieve. But we're like, don't you let go. No, you'll be all right, mate. I'll hang on to you. You'll be okay. So we get up on the bike and we've got the shakes on and we're hanging on. And it's like, don't you let go. And you hear him say, I won't. And you turn around, you crash. And they're like, mate, you were riding. Well done. You were doing it. And so you let go. That's the deal. We knew when to let go. You rode all that way, all on your own. And then you do it again and you do it again. Who remembers? Who's ever asked someone out on a date? Who hasn't? God, you spoiled little girls. Now, for the blokes in here, let's talk about dreams. Who's excited about making that call for the day? Yeah, I love that. Couple of sandwiches. Yeah, I was excited. I love that. That's a mindset, isn't it? As if they'd say no. Look at me. I remember the first time I rang someone, I'm like, man, I am terrified. The choice is, do I go and join a a monastery somewhere in Tibet, or do I actually make this phone call? But who knows, it was the dream that got me to make the phone call. Because that's the way life works. So a lot of stuff in life is actually outside of our comfort zone. And what you find is that most people are like, oh, no, mate, no, I'm not into that. I worked out a real long time ago that I hate the thought of being ruled by my fear. I hate fear being the controller in my life, but I love this. So I'm now at the age where if something's a bit scary, I'm like, all right, let's have a crack at that. Because getting out of your comfort zone is always the pathway to success. So now, this part, making a list, it's not a list of who you can get. It's a list of who you reckon might be willing to fight for their dreams. So we're not looking for, we're open for everybody, but we're not trying to drag anyone into this. We're looking for people. And I'm a big believer that there are 99% of people who end up where they don't want to be, and 1% who end up in a position of choice where they can do whatever they want. And I used to be over there. So I wasn't there because I was an idiot and I'd chosen to be there. I didn't know what these people knew. And what I saw when I got into this room was that these people knew some stuff that I didn't know. So what we're actually looking for is not necessarily 1%ers. It's people who are willing to bust over that wall to get to the information. So the information is in here. The information of what 1%ers know is in here. And the audios are audios that are from people in this business who've created success. They are audios from people outside of this business who've created success. They're audios about information and inspiration. And who's ever been at an event or seen something on telly, and it might be something as simple as a really fantastic tennis match, and all you want to do is go and have a hit of tennis. Who's ever been like that? Or do you know that when they used to run the Grand Prix here, and still with the V8s, the Clipsal, that the cops have a field day because all the spectators in there watching all the racing, what do you think they do when they get in their car? They try and prove that they're better than everybody else. So there's drag races going on all around the track, and the cops are sitting there, come on down, buddy. And that's another $350. Oh, you get the booby prize, you get $980 for that speed. Well played. Because we get inspired, we want to be a part of it. Well, when you're listening to 1%ers and success stories, same thing happens. You actually get a bit inspired. And you're not out there breaking the law and drag racing on the street, but you actually start drag racing in life. You know, you actually start putting the foot down a bit because you're a bit inspired and you're a bit excited about life. The books are books you buy in any bookshop. I just saw Beck at the start was reading a book. And is it Magic of Think Big? Yeah. Magic of Think Big is the first book I read when I got in this business. It's not a book from Amway. It's a book that was written in about the 1930s or something, but it is about the principles of success. It is about positive thinking. I was talking to someone today and she was saying, oh, I'm a bit nervous about this and this and this. I said to her, you know, champions never go into a competition expecting defeat, do they? Like if you're lining up on the grid, you're not thinking, oh God, these guys are all better than me, they're going to flog me. You're thinking, I'm going to have a crack, I'm ready, I've done all the prep, I'm ready to go, let's go. Fascinating that the guys who put their hand up as, yeah, I was excited about making that call for the day, they're all actually people who've been athletes, you know. So they're people who understand that you don't go in expecting defeat. Now, I didn't know that when I was 6, when I made that call. I had to. I broke up with my other girlfriend, so I had to. So the books are just about principles. Magic of Thinking Big, how to win friends and influence people without a shadow of a doubt. It is the #1 people skills book on the planet. You listen to people like Richard Branson and Bill Gates and, the wealthiest people in the world. They talk about people skills, because if you want to build, people say, oh yeah, I'm not into people. It's like, good luck. Good luck, because it's really hard to actually make your mark in life and get into the 1% unless you actually learn how to get good with people, because that's what makes the world go round. So yeah, but that's just not me. Excellent. And now we're talking about getting out of your comfort zone. Now we're talking about stretching yourself, because that's part of the deal. And the amazing thing about success is that it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your challenges are. It doesn't matter whether you like people or don't like people, whether you're this or whether you're that, whether you're outgoing or whether you're really quiet. In actual fact, success requires the same price for everybody. The actual thing will be different, but the amount of pain we have to work our way through will be the same. So the things that I'm not necessarily intimidated by might be the things that you are, but the things that I am intimidated by might be the things that you're not. But without a doubt, to get to the 1%, all of us are going to need to learn to grow. All of us are going to need to be willing to grow. And that is the biggest issue with the 99%ers. You can actually tell most of them these are the secrets, and they're like, okay, good, yeah, good, beautiful, yeah, well done. No, I'll be right. Who's ever heard that? Should be right, yeah. And my answer back is, well, how's that going for you? Because for most people, and it's fascinating, these people don't end up here because that's where they choose to end up. Most of these people end up here because they don't choose anything at all. They just follow has anyone seen what lemmings do? Like if one lemming goes off the cliff, all the rest just follow. They just follow. Off the cliff they go. And I'm like, that's pretty much life. Go and study hard and go and get a good job and just work hard and you'll be okay. And they're waddling off the cliff because for most people, that just does not lead them where they want to be, So all of this stuff is about learning the stuff. So, like next week, we have a function here, an event called a business development event. We've got a couple coming in, Bill and Bryony Smart, who were a couple of people who were instrumental in mentoring Ange and I and coaching Ange and I. In fact, I'd been in the business only a week or so, I reckon, when I organised the time to catch up with Smarty. And I tell you, 1%ers think different. It was Wimbledon, I reckon, and Wimbledon was on. And I've organised to catch up with this guy. I'm working 80, 90 hours a week in real estate. I'm like a cut cow. I'm like, okay, this looks good, but I got to find out how to do it fast. I got to find out what it is that I need to do. And so they organised this catch up with this guy called Bill. And Bill says, yeah, all right, I can catch up with him. 1 o'clock. I'm like, oh, I'm busy at 1. I've got an auction. No, 1 in the morning. I'm like, really? Okay, that'd be exciting. I'm like, I actually didn't have any meetings on at 1 o'clock in the morning, so what the hell? Let's see what happens. Well, 1 o'clock in the morning comes, he rolls in, and go, mate, there you are. And he's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I found out afterwards he's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed because he got up about 2, because he doesn't go to work. But he's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Yeah, been here, been there. I just thought, yeah. And the tennis is on, and he's sitting there. I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, 1:30. Oh, great shot. 2 o'clock. I'm thinking, does this ever change? And then I'm like, boys, I'm going to be up at 5. Any chance we can have a chat? Yeah, just hang on a sec. I just want to see the end of this game. That 1%ers think different because that's what he was into. Now, what did he tell me at 2:30 in the morning when I'm you're sort of torn do I listen to this guy or do I stab him in the neck and go there? That was my choices. But I knew he was a 1%er. I knew he was loaded. He rolled up, had this beautiful little gold Merc Sports. I knew that he was a dairy farmer when he saw this business. And his dream was to buy the dairy farm from the family and turn it into a horse ranch. And I knew he was in the process of doing that. I knew he was making a whole heap of money and he was a millionaire already. And I'm sitting there watching him doing that, wanting to slap him and thinking, he knows some stuff I don't know, because I'm not in that position that I can you imagine even doing that? Meeting someone at 1 o'clock in the morning and then just hold them at bay for an hour and a half. Who reckons that might be a little bit uncomfortable? I'm like, how do you even do that? How do you even think that's acceptable? What I learned that night was that 1%ers think different. And what he was doing was trying to work out whether I was the bloke that deserved the information and whether I would take advantage of it or dismiss it. So he was just testing me out a little bit. Thankfully, I passed the test because 18 months later we retired from our day jobs because he taught me what I needed to know. Now, it wasn't all that night, but Bill and Brian are coming in next week. I tell you, he is so laid back. Sometimes you've got to give him a nudge. You wake me, buddy? Like, he is so chill, but the guy is a multi-filthinaire. They did buy the family farm. They did turn it into a horse ranch. It is one of the most beautiful properties in the Adelaide Hills. It's right up against, like they've got a gate through to the Oakbank Racecourse. It's a beautiful parcel of land. They kicked mum and dad out onto a different house and they did up the family home. And they put this extension on. That's one of the most beautiful extensions I've seen, with just glass looking out over all of the paddocks. They built this thumping great big lake so that the horses you didn't have to take the horses to the beach. They built a thumping great big jetty and they walk along the jetty and swim the horses after they've worked them so that they can cool them down. But the house looks out over there. It is just sensational. So 1%ers don't just think different, they live different because they actually get out there and chase their dreams and they're brave enough to do it. Now on the way, who reckons some of his dairy farmer mates might have said, mate, get your head out of the clouds, as if that's going to happen. Who in this room has heard that from someone? I can guarantee you, if you haven't yet, it'll come. But that's where this becomes important, because my view on that was, hang on, this guy is saying to me, I'll help you achieve your dreams. And not one of the people who told me this wouldn't work, not one of them had an alternative. Not one of them was saying, nah, mate, don't do that. You come with me and I'll show you how to set yourself up. They were all just criticising. Now, I actually looked up the definition of criticism earlier on today. The definition, one of the definitions is fault finding. And why I looked it up was because I was saying that constructive criticism is actually an oxymoron, because constructive fault finding just doesn't work. And so criticism, and who had a family member who was pretty critical? Don't put your hand up. That was to my son. It's all right. Because for most of us, and I know my mum was like that, she was trying to help me by telling me all the things I did wrong. And, you know, we've tried as parents to be the opposite of that and catch our kids doing things right instead of doing things wrong. And where we learnt that is over here. Where we learnt that was in the 1% thought processes. So what I'd learned up until then, I'd learnt most of it from mum and dad and my teachers and my mates, And by getting over here, I started hearing different information. So there's plenty of books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is one of the classics by a guy called Robert Kiyosaki, who's classed as the #1 financial educator. I've met him a couple of times. He's a fascinating guy. He thinks outside the box, but over the last 20 or 25 years, he has really changed a lot of 1% thinking about how you manage your money, that an asset should be something that's actually creating income instead of costing you money. So most of us think our family home is an asset, and yet it's costing us money. So it's not creating income, so it's actually a liability. Now, for a lot of people, that was a real mind stretch. But so you learn some stuff that becomes quite a fascinating thought process. But Eat That Frog. It's a book about, like, Eat That Frog. What's going on with that? What they're talking about in that book is actually getting out of your comfort zone. If you've got something really tough to do it first. Get it out of the way. I've got to eat that frog so I can get to the pavlova. Eat the frog. You know, I love pavlova. I don't want to eat the frog. Eat the frog or you can't have the pavlova. That's what that book's about. But it's fascinating because they're not Amway books, they're success books. I'll tell you something that fascinated me. When I first came into this business, I was specialising in multi-million-dollar property and real estate, so really top-end stuff. And I came into the business and I had a table full of books. We'll have books here next week that at the business development event that you can have a look at and buy and that sort of stuff. But I saw these books. I'm like, Mum and Dad certainly didn't have them. That wasn't, we had novels and fiction and stuff, or Encyclopedia Britannica, which is like old school Google. And we had that on the shelves. And I came in here and I see all these books, Magic of Thinking Big, How to Win Friends, Skill with People, all this stuff. And I'm like, that's unbelievable. But why have I seen these before? And I worked out when I went and did an open inspection at a really expensive house, that's where I'd seen them before. That the 1%ers had them in their bookshelves, not the 99%. And that was actually like a real aha moment where I'm like, okay, so we're on the right track here. This is what the wealthy people already know, and I'm just learning it because I was so excited about this. I wasn't just willing to do this stuff, I was desperate to do this stuff. So, the audios, the books, the functions, and the coaching are about teaching us what we need to know so that we can go and be effective in what we're doing here. And what this stuff is about is having a go at it so that we can be effective in building a community so that we can achieve our dreams. So the two things are really linked. I'll get back to what Bill told me in a bit, but the list, this is not like something, this is who do you know who's a bit of a goer that you reckon might be willing to fight for their dreams. Now, I didn't actually be too judgmental about that because when I first walked into a room like this, there were a number of people in here who said, man, I had you on my list, but I didn't ring you because I thought you were doing okay. And I'm sitting there thinking, what thinks you've got the right to make my decisions for me? I was doing okay in everybody else's standards, but I definitely wasn't living my dream. I definitely wasn't waking up when the alarm went off thinking, yes, you beauty, 2 hours sleep, that's plenty, let's get into it. I was like, oh man, again, I've got to drag up again. So I was the proverbial duck, looked smooth on the top, but paddling like crazy underneath. And all these people had me on their list but didn't talk to me because they decided that I wouldn't need it. So I decided I was going to talk to everybody. I didn't care whether they did it or not, I was just going to talk to them. Let it be their fault they broke, rather than mine. I didn't want to be the one to blame. I didn't know how I would, once I get over here and I've created a residual income and I'm making good dough, what happens if one of my mates came up and said, well, how come you didn't talk to me? What do I say? I thought you were a loser. I didn't want to do that. I thought, let him decide whether he wants to have a crack or not. So my list was actually everybody. Like one of the people I rang was one of my teachers from school. Now keep in mind I was 36 when I saw this business. I left school when I was 16. I hadn't seen this guy for probably 10 years, and I didn't ring him with, I ring him with a phone call that I would make to that particular bloke, which was, "G'day buddy, how you going? Hey listen, man, I got my finger in some pies outside of real estate," so we're onto the call now, onto the contact, and back then you could actually ring people and they'll pick up. Unbelievable. Oh, it's a different world, man. Yeah, I love it. You ring someone, they send you a text. "What's up?" You send them a text. "Man, need to talk to you. When's a good time? Call me now." I'm like, if I'd rung you, you'd have said, "What's up?" And I text you and say, "Ring me, you wanker." I'm like, what is going on? But back then, I rang this guy and said, "G'day buddy, how you going, mate? I've got some fingers in some pies outside of real estate. I'm working on a project. It's really exciting. I'm looking for a couple of good people to help me run things. I was talking to someone the other day. They mentioned a name. I thought of you. I haven't been able to get you off my mind since. I reckon you're the bloke. When's a good time to catch up?" He said, "I'm all right tonight." Just like that. And went and showed him, and what did I show him? Well, that was fascinating too, because I had no idea. I've been in the business about 4.5 minutes, and those guys who brand spanking new, you're like, I don't know what I'd show them. What I did was I went and told the truth. I went and said, "Mate, I found a way I can actually get my life back. It looks fantastic. It's working damn way. We're not flogging the stuff door to door. We're building communities of people steering at the website. We're taking on Coles and Myers and Woolies and all those guys. But the bottom line is, there's a no lose in this. It cost me $100. They give me $100 worth of product, and if it works, I make a stack, and if it doesn't work, I save some money on the stuff that I was going to buy anyway." He's like, "Okay, what do we do now?" I'm like, "I've got no idea, but welcome aboard, because we're building a community, And what I did was bring them along to the next one of these. So come along and ask these guys. They'll know what to do. So the call is, well, I'm going to make a different call to my mum than I am to my mates. Who would agree with that? And if it's someone that but when I first, they gave me a script, and I'm like, "It's not going to work." And they're like, "What?" "Hello, Mum, this is Mike." She'd be like, "Yeah, I sort of know it's Mike. I actually gave birth to you." So there's different things that you say to different people because we've got a relationship with different people. So my best advice to everybody is get excited about why. Expect that it's going to be out of your comfort zone because it's something new. But if you actually are willing to keep at it, it's like the Rocky thing. It's the dream, struggle, victory, and you'll get to the top of the steps. And when you get to the top of the steps, the dreams, the dollars, who reckons it would be good to be able to get up in the morning and think, what are we going to do today on a Tuesday? Who reckons it'd be good going to the beach when everybody else is at work? We don't go to the beach on weekends because people are there. We go during the week in summer, sometime. It'll come sometime. We go during the week because you get hundreds of metres of beach with nobody there. It's fantastic fun. When Jack was growing up, before he was at school has really disrupted our life. But before he went to school, we were down the beach all summer. We're doing, what are we doing today? I don't know. Where do you want to go? West Beach, we can go to Goolwa. We bought a 4-wheel drive so that we could take the car onto the Goolwa beach. That's why we bought it. Well, I don't go 4-wheel driving. I just wanted to get out of the beach. Didn't want to have to walk down with everybody else. Well, who reckons that sounds like a better fun than going to work? I hate the beach. It's still better than going to work, So make a list of everybody you know, but start out. I tell you what they said to me. He said, write 100 names on a list, and I'll show you how to turn that into a business. So I did that, and he said, who are the ones that you're going to show when you're rich? I said, well, that's these guys. He said, ring them first. And I'm like, really? I was sort of going to talk to them when I was making money. He said, yeah, but that's because they're the ones you respect. And they're the ones who are most likely to do it. So that was really interesting because there were about 10 or a dozen people on that list, and there was some really successful, some multi-millionaires on there. every one of those 10 or a dozen that I really respected either got in or said, mate, that is a fantastic business, you get amongst it and get after it. Now, one of them said, mate, I love it, but I know my dreams. I'm on a 5-year plan right now. He showed me his dreams, he talked to me about his plan, he said, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I've got my plan mapped out, but you get after it, mate. So out of all those 10 or a dozen people that I really respected, every single one of them was 100% supportive. And so by the time I got to the guys that are like, oh, no, mate, they don't do that work, I'm like, who am I going to listen to? The guys who are broke and struggling to pay their bills, or the guys that I genuinely respect who have been really successful in life? And so what it did, by actually getting out of my comfort zone and showing the ones I respected first, what it did was shore up my purpose, gave me some belief in myself and what I was doing, because I got great feedback from such good people. I've seen other people who haven't been willing to do that, and what's happened is they have been hammered by the people because they're firmly entrenched in the 99%, and that's fine. I'm not judge and jury. I don't mind. That's not my job. My job is to offer it and see whether they're willing to fight. And some of them are, and some of them aren't. But I had already decided that if I was going to start, I was going to finish. Because who knows that starters don't make the money, finishers make the money? Who knows that? Yeah? And I have actually been in this twice before and didn't make any money. Didn't get anywhere. And that's not because the business didn't work. I didn't do anything. I didn't actually ring one person either time. Once I got in because my sister was nagging me something chronic, and I said, I'll get in and I'll buy you saucepans as long as you stop nagging me. So I got in and bought the saucepans. I was 18 then, and 44 years later, I've still got one of those saucepans. I would have them all, but my ex-wife took the other 9. She got the house and I got the gate. It was fantastic. But it's still, and we've got another set now with a matching saucepan in there, and you can't tell the difference. So it was a great buy, but I didn't actually do anything. So I saved some money, but I didn't make any money. The next time I got in, I loved the idea. The guy that I did not relate at all, because he was like, have you got your list? Have you got a list? About 15 times a day. He's ringing me, have you done your list? Let's make some calls. I'm like, mate, back off, I'm working. I ended up just, mate, good luck. Don't come back to my house again. What I did learn from all of that when I got in this time was starters don't make the money, finishers do. And if you want to finish, you've got to actually do some work. And that ain't the way to treat people. And the moral of the story is I learned from those experiences, why don't we treat other people how we'd like to be treated and see how it goes? And I've got to tell you, from our point of view, worked okay. So, I have never been like, oh man, you got to do it, and nagged anybody. I've been really the opposite. I've been like, mate, I've found a way we can set ourselves up. It's really exciting. But if you want to get there, we're going to do some work. If you don't want to get there, no problem. Just do a bolt. So if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if you want to have a crack, we'll run our legs off to help you. And it's worked okay because I've not got anyone in a headlock. Rather than that, I've actually put my arm around it. And the ones who wanted to stay, stayed, and the ones who didn't. So it's been fantastic fun. So showing a plan is just about going and telling the truth. And the process of showing a plan is actually pretty simple. It's tell them the truth, but tell them why you're doing it, and talk to them about why they would want to do it. Talk to them about the business, talk to them about the system, and then get it back to the dream at the end. And then book a meeting from a meeting. Bam! Book a meeting from a meeting. Because the follow-up is actually a process. And if you leave people to their own devices, they think, dream while you're with them, and as soon as you go, they start, yeah, but. Anyone have those thoughts ever? Yeah, but. That's what happens to everybody. So, mate, I found a way to get filthy stinking rich. Oh, mate, I'm excited. And as soon as you walk away, yeah, but. Or, they'll, mate, I found a way we can make some money. Nah, mate, that'll never work because people are testing you. So, booking a follow-up from that meeting is actually really critically important. I guarantee you for most of us, it's outside of our comfort zone. For most of us, it's, I didn't want to push. You don't push, you're actually pushing them off the cliff. You're actually saying to them, you're not important. I'm going to put my comfort ahead of your success. So this is actually part of being a leader. This is actually part of the process. In real estate, if someone called me in to do an appraisal on their house and I talked to them about what I thought the house was worth, what it was going to cost them and all that sort of stuff, who reckons I then did a follow-up? Because if I didn't do a follow-up, what was I doing? I was leaving it all up to them. And they didn't know how to do real estate. They just knew how to be them. So I was the professional, so I needed to organise a follow-up so that I could lead them to the next step. And that's what a follow-up is here, not about leading them to the next step for me, leading them to the next step towards their dreams. So let me ask you again, who'd be interested in more time and more money than you've got at the moment? Yep. That's what this is about. So then I've got to be brave enough to actually lead. Who's noticed that at work, that someone doesn't say, oh mate, I was wondering if you could do this if you wouldn't mind. They don't say it like that, do they? Your boss will come in and say, mate, that needs to get sorted. Sort that out for me, please. And so, okay, off I go. Most people are in that position. Most people are used to being directed. And so in this situation, my view was I didn't know how to achieve my dreams, and I needed these guys and this information and this instruction to be able to put me on that pathway. So for everybody that I talk to, this becomes a really constant process, and this we call the loop. The object of a follow-up is to talk to them about their dream and help them build a list. It's the next step, so that you can activate that loop and help them build a list, help them contact people, help them or me or them or both of us or whatever, show the plan, and then book a meeting from a meeting so that we can get them back on their dream and get them starting to build their business. Because who remembers what our business is? It's about building a community of people and steering them at the website so that we can share in the profit share, isn't it? So my job is to help them build a community, and that's the process of doing that. So over this side, I relied on that unbelievably. That part was the key. Now, I listened to the audios, and this is what Bill said to me that very first night. He said, do you want a big business or a small business? And I said, big, really big. I'll ask you the same question. Do you want a big business or a small business?
Big business.
Okay. So if you want this is what he said to me. If you want a big business, you need to listen to the audios every day. No, I'd never listen to an audio, ever. Not once, ever. You need to listen to the audios every day. At least 3. Every day. I'm like, okay. Why would I argue? The guy's a millionaire. Why would I argue with him? No, mate, I know better how to create wealth than you do. I'm going to keep listening to the radio, listening to Ruined Hits. That's going to make me rich. He's saying, Pat's like, who? I love that. Good boy. So the audios are informational and inspirational. So listen to at least 3 audios every day. I'm like, okay. He said, read every day, 15 to 20 minutes for a positive mental attitude book every day, because it'll teach you the principles. This will get you thinking positive. This will teach you the principles of success. He said you need to be at every upline function. He didn't say every upline function that's convenient for you. He said you need to be at every upline function. Why? Because we are who we mix with. Who remembers that from school? That there was always the bunch of kids who were the bad kids that all hung around with each other, and the bunch of good kids who were the good kids who all hung around with each other. And I won't ask you which group you were in, but who remembers that from school? That you are who you mix with, And some of the guys end up in pretty ugly situations, and some of them end up in really good situations but their association is really consistent. Who you spend your time with is really important. What happens at these, and I don't know if you know this, but I noticed that very first time I walked into this environment and there was a buzz in the place. People were smiling and genuinely seemed excited to see each other, and they're chatting and everyone's excited about life. I'm like, man, I remember when I used to have a smile. So I wanted to get around this. So you want a big business, listen to the audios, at least 3 every day. Now, I was on the road in real estate, so I was listening to 6 or 7. What happened was I could hardly stand myself. I was so excited. Not because I'm that bloke, but because these changed my attitude. I heard some stuff on those audios, read some stuff in those books that I thought, that is a better way of living my life than I'm living now. I'm going to do that. So it's been fantastic. Going to the functions, I've met some of the most amazing people. Now, the functions are all of it. We have these on a regular Monday night where we have an information session, normally where someone gets up and explains how the business works so that you can bring new people. Occasionally we have these, which are beginning seminars. How do you get from zero to the money? And it's just follow these processes. We have, what we've got next Monday night is this business development event. Now, normally it's $6.50 to get in here. For that one, it's $25 for a ticket. Andrew's got those tickets for sale up the back. But you get to sit in a room with a millionaire, teaching you how you can be a millionaire doing the same thing that he did. Now, my attitude to that was, I'm going to sit down the front. I want to catch some millionaire spit and see if that helps. You know, I'll take anything. I want him to be right at the front, because for a minute, you know, I didn't get that many opportunities to listen to people who were actually trying to help me. But I'd played a lot of sport, and who knows, when you're playing high-level sport, you've got a coach. And what happens when the coach says, do this? What do?
Do it.
You do it. And I'd lived my life like that. I'd played basketball for 30 years when I saw this business. And I'd had coaches, and I'd played high level, and I'd done well. But if the coach said, do this, I would do this. And so I treated it like that. This was an opportunity to sit as close as I could to the coach and listen to him. I was at one major function. In February, we've got a major function over in Melbourne where we've got some of the best speakers in the world. Now, I get a bit fired up. I get a bit frisky. You know, I'm that sort of a bloke. We're at this function in Melbourne, and I was as close to the front as I could be, which, because of where we were at the time, and it was only really early days, I was sitting about 20 rows back in a 100-row auditorium. So I'm sitting about 20 rows back, sitting in that seat with all these people in front. This guy comes down off the stage, this psycho-American, ultra-successful, filthy, stinking rich. He walks down the crowd and he stands here and stands on my toe. And he literally stood on my foot. I'm like, yeah, baby, it's rubbing off. And he goes, it shall be done! And I'm like, yes, massa! It's your... Oh, man, I nearly wet my pants. I was so cranked up. But it's just the energy in that sort of environment. It was fantastic. So Bill said, listen to the audios at least 3 every day. Read 15 to 20 minutes for a positive mental attitude book every day. Go to every upline function and make sure that you're on track. Keep checking back. This is what I've done, what do I do next? This is what I've done, what do I do next? The other thing he said was buy everything you can out of your own business. Now that is not any more important than putting oil in your car. You can buy yourself a Ferrari or a Lambo or a Maserati. If it doesn't have oil in it, it's just an expensive cubby house for the kids, because it ain't going to go anywhere. What happens with the product in this business? They're like, oh, are we going to do a product section? It's like, mate, it's all right. I know to clean my teeth. It's okay. I don't care about that. I don't care where I buy my toothpaste. If someone's going to pay me profit share for using their toothpaste, I'm using their toothpaste. but that's my favourite. That costs me more and they don't pay profit share. This is now my favourite. I looked around. Their teeth didn't seem to be falling out. Okay, the toothpaste must work. I didn't care about that, but everything I could buy out of my business I did because I was 100% loyal. Because I figured if I wanted to be a 1%, like if you were the general manager, who's a mad Kane Holden man and not into Fords? One. Who's a mad Kane Ford man and not into Holdens? None. Okay, we'll go to the Holdens. Think about Brody. He's a mad Kane Holden man, not into Fords. And guys who are like that are like, oh, no way. Let's go a different way. Who's mad Kane Crows supporter and not into the power? Who's the other one? Okay. Get out. No. Now, if you got a job, Damo, if you got a job at the Crows as their sports conditioning coach, would you go there wearing your port beanie?
Boy, I would, because I'm an idiot like that. No, I wouldn't be.
No, you wouldn't. Because you'd have to be an idiot, wouldn't you? And that's exactly right. You'd have to be an idiot. If you were a mad Kane Ford man and you got a job as general manager of Holden, rolling up in a Ford's probably not going to cut it, is it? You're going to have to drive a Holden whether you like it or not. So I looked at this. I'm now the CEO of my own business, and by hell, I better be supporting this. And that's what oils the machine. You don't have oil in the machine and it doesn't work. So that's where the profit share comes out of it, that we buy what we can from our own business. Now, if you haven't been down to the store at Henley Beach Road, get down there, check it out, go and talk to the girls, go and have a look at what's there. The girls ain't that shit. Go and find out what's there, ask them, they're awesome and they'll steer you through it, but support your own business. So, listen to at least 3 audios every day, 15 to 20 minutes a book every day, go to every upline function. Make sure you're on track. Buy everything you can out of your own business and go and show everybody you can show. That was it. 6 things. That's what he told me. Go and do those things. Day after day after day after day. Dream, struggle, victory. Which part do you reckon that all fits in? Honestly, that wasn't a struggle to me. That was just turning off the radio and sticking on an audio. That wasn't a struggle. Reading a book. Like, I used to read the paper occasionally. I haven't read a paper, who's noticed, the new people don't understand this, but who's noticed inside this business that if you don't read the paper, someone will tell you what's going on? I hear it all the time. People say, do you hear about this? I'm like, no, nothing. Tell me. I mean, now a lot of that information comes through on social media, so you get a lot of it there. But I decided that wasn't out of my comfort zone. That was just a decision. Going to functions, we all have 24 hours in a day. And everybody uses them. I was working 80, 90 hours a week and still managed to fit this in because it was important enough. I said to him, mate, I'm struggling with this 10 or 15 hours a week. I haven't got 10 or 15 hours a week when I'm not doing anything. He said, if it's important enough to you, you'll make the time. I thought, okay, fair comment. Fair comment. What do I do? So, I've been to every function since we got in, apart from one when I was in hospital and one when I couldn't travel. But every other one for 26 years, this is what I do, Monday nights. This is what and some that we've been on incentive trips. That's our next incentive trip to Dubai. Who reckons that looks pretty tight? Who'd like a free trip, all expenses paid, to Dubai next year? For nothing. That's what it is. You do this and hook into a coach, you can have that. Do you want to play that video? Get on with that. And this is actually a function, what's happening in Dubai. Because not only are they putting, that's the hotel we're staying in, the Dubai Oberoi. Could have picked something that flowed a bit better. Dubai Oberoi. It's like a vowel party. They've got some entertainers coming.
The first ever Asia Pacific Leadership Seminar. Leaders from 11 countries. The ultimate experience of a lifetime. Meet world-class motivational speakers and forge new connections. Be inspired to make it to the top. scenic Dubai. Marvel at the sights. Explore its rich cultural heritage. And excite your senses. Anything is possible. Let's rise together.
We've actually been on a lot of those trips to different places all around the world, and they're genuine. They put it out there, and we then have to earn it. That's dream, struggle, and victory. That's part of the victory. But they said we're going to have world-class motivational speakers. The couple that we've heard about are George W. Bush, who's an ex-president of the United States, and Richard Branson, who's one of the world business leaders. They've got a couple of parties lined up, so they've got some entertainment coming in. They've got Christine Aguilera, they've got Justin Timberlake, they've got Ed Sheeran. We just heard the other day that, and I'm not sure if this is confirmed yet, but Katy Perry as well. So they are absolutely laying it on. Now, I don't know what your boss does for a Christmas party, but that's what Amway's doing next year in, I think it's the 10th to the 14th or 15th or something of December, but it's all expenses paid. The beauty of Dubai, though, you can go anywhere from there. So there'll be some of us heading off for a white Christmas. There'll be some of us heading off for, beautiful exotic locations, but they pay our way to Dubai and they pay our way back. So that's part of the function stuff that you want to get in your head, and how you get that is listen to the audios, read the books, go to the Functions Council upline, make sure you're buying everything out of your own business, and get out there and share the idea. And sharing the idea is literally, as I said before, talk about why you're doing it, what you see in it for you. Talk to them about what they might get excited about, what their 10 out of 10 life is. Talk about the eBay, Facebook type concept that we're just building community, steering on the website, and talk about the system, and then get them back onto their dream and book a follow-up and get out the door. Now, I used to do them day after day after day. Every day I did a plan, because my view was I was giving something to my boss every day to help him achieve his dreams. I was going to give something back to my family every day to achieve ours. So every day I'd be out there sharing the idea. And it took us about 4.5 months to get to that first stage of where you're starting to actually build a good profitable business, where you've got a community of about 100 people doing the average of about $400 a month, and the income at that level is around about 4.5 to 5 grand a month. Now, serious question, who reckons that'll make a difference to your lifestyle? And that's the level. Once you've built that, that's when these things start coming in. It took us another 12 months or so from that point to get to a point where we helped 3 of our mates get to that point, and then we were all travelling together into those locations around the world. But for Ange and I, that meant we were living our dream. That meant we replaced our day income, and we could actually have the same income and the same lifestyle, but have all our time back to be parents to our kids. So it's unbelievable from that point of view. Next Monday night will be a ripper. Bill and Bryony have just come back from being in Bali at one of these trips at the Ritz-Carlton over there. They will be full of stories, they will be. But they've been 30-something years in this business. Bill was incredibly shy. He was a dairy farmer because the cows didn't talk back, and the idea of going out and building a community absolutely terrified him. And yet, in about 3 years, they were in a position where they sold all the cows and started living the life, And now they have got one of the biggest businesses in the world, and we've got them coming into this room next week. It doesn't get much better than that. That's an opportunity to listen to a genuine 1%er who's here to help you achieve your goals. So, hope that helped. Hope that made some sense. Next Monday night's Bill and Bryony, 7 o'clock start. It'll go for probably a couple of hours, and then after that we're going to have a go-getters function where we're going to go somewhere, have a bite, have a bit of a yap, and have a bit of fun. So if you don't know what a go-getters function is, if you do know and you haven't qualify. If you don't know, talk to the person who brought you along and they can steer you in the right direction. So next Monday, doors open at 6:30 for a 7 o'clock start. Great intro, Nick. Well played. And we'll see you then. Give you